So just when Stephen Miller thinks he's safe from Donald Trump's hypocrisy and waffling, we have a breaking story to remind Mr. Miller, you know, the wannabe 1933 leader, that maybe, just maybe, his little spat with Elon isn't the only spat headed his way. And this is an important breaking story. I'm going to show that to you in a few seconds. Let's bear in mind that Miller is the one who has basically documented and also enforced, set up and executed with Tom Homan from the Department of Homeland Security and ICE all of the deportations and the way that they're being done. Because why? Because they have a quota. That's why you see footage recently, and this is key to this story, that you see in California and also in the heartland, Oklahoma, Kansas, places like that where there's agriculture. You see videos like this.
ICE agents arrived at the field you see behind me earlier this morning. In fact, according to a couple of farm workers we had a chance to talk to, ICE agents arrived right around 6 o'clock this morning. Cell phone video that was posted online right after the raid show ICE agents chasing after some of the workers. The agriculture industry in Ventura County is a $2 billion a year industry. So raids like this could have a significant impact on what's planted and picked here.
And then you hear Stephen Miller on Fox News espouse goals like this.
And Stephen Miller joins us now with more. So you and Kristi Noem are pushing for $3,000 a day, but you're also going to fortify ICE. And the one big beautiful bill, my understanding is with at least $147 billion more.
We are looking to set a goal of a minimum of 3,000 arrests for ICE every day, and President Trump is going to keep pushing to get that number up higher each and every single day so we can get all of the Biden illegals that were flooded into our country for 4 years out of our country. And we can't take the risk of letting these Biden illegals roam around freely so that the next American daughter can get raped, the next American kid can get murdered, the next American family can get splintered and torn apart by people that came into this country unchecked, uncontrolled, unvetted, uninvited by the American people.
And that's how we arrive at this breaking story of Trump on the brink of butting bald heads, well, orange head and bald head, with Stephen Miller because of the fact that, all of these years of all the talk about illegal immigration, yet people seem to fail to remember that 90-some% of all of the agriculture in this country is done by either migrant workers or likely undocumented or illegal migrant workers. And when you start chasing them down in fields and scare them from going to work, whoopsie poop, a lot of those red state farmers that voted for you might get a little pissed off. And that's why in this breaking story, that all of Trump's rhetoric and what he's tried to create in Los Angeles with regards to the way they handled all of the deportations that just happened this past week and caused all of the mayhem and supposed rioting is a real conflict now in this breaking story between Stephen Miller and Donald Trump, and it's about to erupt. Take a listen to this. Breaking story. The clock's ticking on Trump's immunity, and he just broke the law. This week, when border czar Tom Homan threatened to arrest California Governor Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, Donald Trump goaded him on, telling him, in quotes, "I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great," and adding, "Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing." While Trump brays about having a Democratic governor arrested and Kristi Noem had a Democratic U.S. senator tackled for asking questions, someone should tell them that two can play that game. In the state of California, inciting public violence is a crime commonly known as inciting a riot under California Penal Code PC 404.6. It is a crime to deliberately exacerbate violence by encouraging peaceful protesters to engage in violence. The code states, anyone who with the intent to cause a riot does an act or engages in conduct urging a riot or urges others to commit acts of force or violence or the burning or destroying of property and at a time and a place under circumstances that produce a clear and present immediate danger of acts of violence or destroying property is guilty of incitement to riot. Every law enforcement agency in the U.S., including the FBI, knows and teaches that an excessive show of force will turn peaceful protesters into violent rioters almost instantaneously. Recommended de-escalation methods are even published on Trump's Department of Justice website. Nationwide police and FBI anti-escalation standards, coupled with Newsom's objections to the military's presence, led to one conclusion. Trump sending troops into L.A. based on the fiction of an invasion is deliberate provocation. Trump is trying to incite violence to serve his own political goals of declaring martial law in violation of California's penal code and should be arrested for same. Nothing radicalizes citizens faster than being brutalized by state force. Whomever is advising Trump in LA knows the quickest and surest way to radicalize any population is to use or display disproportionate force against unarmed people. A disproportionate government response to civic unrest predictably triggers anti-government sentiment and causes violence that feels like self-defense. Military advisors know this. Every police chief in the nation knows this. Counterinsurgency experts know this. Trump's police state. Trump has made no secret of his plan to recall thousands of American troops from overseas to station them instead on American soil. His goal, modeled after his fascist idol in Hungary, Viktor Orban, is to impose a police state under which the media, judges, and political opponents are silenced, imprisoned, or worse for criticizing him. With tanks in the streets and Fox News propaganda running 24/7, Trump will be able to remain in office until he appoints Don Jr., his successor. Trump's objective is to remain in power, which he has admitted, to insulate himself from legal accountability until he dies. To that end, he has done everything in his power since returning to office to instigate violence on the streets, and not just in LA. So far, he's tried to incite riots by arresting a black mayor, arresting a black member of Congress, arresting a sitting judge, kidnapping brown people on their way to work, and sending migrants to foreign gulags without due process, all while filming and televising the cruelty as widely as possible. Republicans are scared shiteless, or they'd stop this madman. Their cowardice is on display before the rest of the world. Withhold federal funds and arrest Trump. Newsom is correct to consider withholding federal taxes from a fascist president determined to defund states, universities, and organizations he doesn't like. A state withholding federal tax is unprecedented except for a brief period of time during the Whiskey Rebellion when farmers in Pennsylvania refused to pay the whiskey tax. It's also logistically complex because federal taxes are paid by employers and state residents directly. But what Trump is doing to destroy the nation is also unprecedented. 95% of his executive orders exceed his constitutional authority. The state of California is the nation's biggest donor state, meaning it pays $83 billion more to the federal government every year than it receives, nearly 3 times as much as the next biggest donor state. In addition, California taxpayers contribute more than any other state to total federal taxes, according to the Internal Revenue Service data. In 2023-24, California's total federal taxes were $806 billion, nearly twice as much as Texas, which contributed $417 billion, and more than twice the $384 billion New York contributed. So whatever damage our toddler-in-chief hopes to inflict on California's governor and state economy will assuredly ripple throughout the nation's economy. The point isn't sending Trump to prison, where he'd be today if not for the Federalists he installed on the Supreme Court. The point is fighting Trump theater fire with theater fire. Trump has cast himself as the strongman star of his own fascist reality show, but he's not the only official with the power to have people arrested for breaking the law. All I need to say on this, setting aside anything Gavin Newsom may or may not do because it's not the point is Trump instructs you to do this. He takes a sycophant and a fascist wannabe in Stephen Miller who pushes that agenda with Tom Homan, and then all of a sudden, what does Donald Trump do, which he's done his entire life, is go, oh, I'm a Democrat, no wait, I'm going to run for president, I'm a Republican, oh, I'm a this, no wait, I'm going to that. And he flip-flops. All I'm going to say is stay tuned for the mayhem that's about to go down between Stephen Miller and Donald Trump. You guys stay frosty.